welcome back. And we are moving into our final conversation for today, where the day after KTV The Remakes and the day before our Summerfest auditions, we're going to be talking about the fundamentals of singing. And we have with us none other than Sandra Bradshaw to share with us some of her tips and tricks of the trade. Good morning.
Pleasant good morning to you, Marlene.
All right.
Thanks for having me here.
And how are you doing today?
Wonderfully fine.
All right.
Thank God.
I am so grateful that you are with us on set to talk about this. It's not, how much of singing is pure talent? Let me start with that.
Okay, suppose I start with a little story.
You can go
Is
ahead.
that okay?
I love stories. Tell me.
There was this guy, he worked at this factory.
Mm-hmm.
And every evening he would be coming out of the factory with a wheelbarrow and a little package in the wheelbarrow. And so, of course, you'd pass through security and they have to check him. So the security guy would say, "What is that you have in there? Kindly open the package." And so he would open the package. Oh, sawdust in there. So, all right, gone clear. He would go through. The next day, coming back in the evening, after 5 again, same story, same scenario, checked again, little package. Oh, sawdust, got through. This went on for several weeks. So the security said, "Man, excuse me, but man, I think you're thieving something here, and you have to tell me what it is you're really going out with. It can't be just this little package, a sawdust thing that you claim that you're selling, right?" And listen to me, if you tell me the truth, you will not be fired. No kind of reprisal or anything. So, all right, I'll tell you the truth. He said, "To be honest with you, it's a wheelbarrow I'm going out with every day. Every day I steal a wheelbarrow." You see, the thing with it is that they're not looking at the big picture. They're just watching the little sawdust every day going out. But there's a big picture. When it comes to singing, I take a holistic approach. And so it's far more than singing, as we say in little common parlance. It's far more than singing a little song, right? It's way more than talent.
Yeah.
And that's why you asked me here to look at some of the fundamentals, right?
Of course.
Yeah.
And there are required skill sets as well.
Yes.
Here's one of the things I find interesting. Singing is it's an irremovable part of our life, music in general.
It is.
From we are babies in the womb, we're exposed to music. Parents sing to you, you hear it. As soon as babies are born, they're lulled to sleep by lullabies,
Rockabye Baby.
Yeah.
Wicked songs.
Or even I don't sing words, I just make a sound, like a repetitive sound over and over until they go to sleep.
The baby going drop. What's lullaby about that, Marlene?
Because I
know you used to work at NCFC and deal with the rights of the children. I don't understand.
So, and I used to be in a choir when I was younger. I don't know how, but the point is that we all love singing, whether we're comfortable doing it in public or not.
Yeah.
Whether we make a career out of it or do it part-time or only reserve it for a shower.
Yeah.
Or cars in my place. How, and that's why I asked the question about talent.
Yeah.
Some people, I hear them sing and I say, wow, and it is without any kind of training.
Yeah.
What do you do when you have people who come in with voice coaching? What is your first assessment that you do?
Just what I did a while ago.
Yeah.
I take a holistic approach.
Okay.
All right. And so we're going to really look at what we might say this morning might not be what most people expect, right? But we're going to look at the physical, the mental, the emotional, and the spiritual. Those are the key aspects and basic fundamentals.
Okay.
That's the perspective we're going to take it from this morning.
So you start us off. Physical aspect of singing?
Of course, there is. Last night I was watching KTV. Of course, we have fun doing it and everything, but one of the gentlemen ran out of breath while he was singing. Breathing it's as basic as breathing is for us to be alive here.
Yeah.
Very important. And so I encourage, as a matter of fact, we're training now for our show, which by the way, it will be October 14th.
Okay.
Right? And one of the first things we do when we come in is to tackle breathing. Because that's very critical. And so I encourage exercise. I do it by example, and every one of them in the group, I encourage them you need to exercise. And it's interesting to see them come, you know, gasping for breath sometimes in between some of the lines, and towards the end of the practice sessions,
They get better.
you see the changes, yeah.
You know, I've learned this through yoga, that naturally we take very short, rapid breaths, and we don't really pay attention. And when you're forced to really take a deep breath,
Yes.
then you realize how much in shape you are. We hear so much about diaphragm singing. I think people from all across Belize have Googled what diaphragm is. Talk to us, and it goes back to breath. Tell us
Yes, it
about
does.
what it means to sing from the diaphragm and why it's important to have good control over your breathing.
Yeah. You know, one of the things you have to be careful, sometimes as human beings, my father used to tell me, we tend to be pendulums. When we're not swinging from this extreme, we're swinging to the other extreme.
That
And
is
something we
true.
have to keep trying to bring a balance, you know. When it comes to singing and breathing, it depends on the type of song you're singing. There's some that you need to really, be breathing from deep within, and there's some that you need to be breathing from up here, depending on the note that you're taking. If it's a
Okay.
high, if it's a low, and so you have to watch that when you're singing. It depends on the amount of words that you'll be saying in one little section there as
Yeah.
you're singing. So it has a lot to do. It's for instance, there's this guy, I'm sure you've heard of Louis Armstrong. When Louis Armstrong first started singing, nobody thought he could sing. I see dreams of and I said to myself, what a wonderful world, right? But and the breathing, yes, is here, but he's also breathing from up here. And it's a different sort of voice. It's one that they never heard before.
Yeah.
So you have to look at it from that
So learning
perspective.
to control and recognize where you need to breathe from.
Yes.
So
yeah.
give us some tips on if I am going to go even to church and sing a song. What should I do to start to get my breathing under control?
Okay, what we do, first of all, as we like to say, everything starts at yard, at home.
Yeah.
Your practice sessions when you're doing. There are two schools of thoughts with that. Some people think that it's futile to be running scales. You know what I mean by running scales? Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, na, 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 na. And you do different things. Some people think it's futile, it's not real, and so they're sort of knocking that. I subscribe to it. I think it's important because it's a form of exercise. Remember I mentioned the exercise early? This is also exercising the voice when you run the scales. And it's also preparing you for the breathing that you will need and the different gaps and how long you'll hold the breath for. So I find that running the scales. Now what I find is that you need to be creative. Sometimes we have a little song that we do, do-wah, do-wah, do-wah. We do it kind of staccato. You know when you say staccato? Then another time you do, ah. You didn't ask me to sing, but
No.
you can't talk about
How are you going to give us the fundamentals of singing with no singing?
Right. So it's important for you to do these things.
Yeah.
You know, Lainey, if you stop exercising, stop walking, stop running, whatever it is, you know what would happen to your muscles?
Yeah, they're loose now, but I'll lose them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well,
So it's the same with the voice.
It's the same. The application is the same.
And that brings me to my next question.
Yeah.
How does one warm up the voice?
Okay. First of all, one of the things, because we usually want to drink water before, we don't encourage you to drink cold water before, right?
Yeah.
You drink room temperature water. It kind of make the throat a little supple, right? I have found, a good friend told me this, and I have found that olive oil, especially the virgin one, right? Olive oil, just a little teaspoon, half teaspoon, you take that, and my goodness, when you're taking those notes, I think it could even help you with talking, preparing, right? So that's another way. Another thing, because remember I mentioned the physical that people don't factor into, is the matter of rest. If you overwork this voice, how many of you remember, the hills are alive to the sound of music? You remember what happened to the lead singer?
No.
She lost her voice.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, overwork, tired.
Yeah.
Right? So you have to rest it too. It's important in preparing yourself.
Because it is muscles that you're using.
Exactly.
So, in hosting shows like KTV The Remix or other entertainment shows, I find some of the strangest practices from singers. And I remember once seeing them drinking like a cold Coke right before going on air. And I turn around and say, you know, I'm not a singer, but I'm a professional talker, and I know that's bad.
Maybe for the hype, I don't know.
Maybe it's the
caffeine,
sugar,
I don't know.
but the cold, sugary drink. Let's talk about some of the things that people do or think are okay, but really are very important in delivering quality sound in their singing.
Right. Okay, for instance.
So we did the cold water.
Right, we looked at that. I recommended the olive oil. I find it works for me. Of course, you have to check with your doctor, okay? You don't know some people, right? But another thing that I find that works when you're preparing or warming up is that you sit and calm your spirit. You remember I told you about the whole thing. It's a holistic approach, right? And if you're not calm in spirit, it's gonna come out in your performance. So that's another key and very important to preparing yourself before singing.
That's interesting, because you can hear when people are nervous when they sing.
Yes, you do.
Like the great singers, but something, there's a little agitation to their voice.
Yes.
So calming themselves will help.
Yes, it does. And when I say the spiritual aspect, it's not just the calming part that I'm referring to. It's another very important thing that I want to touch on, because there seems to be the tendency for many to think, oh, you have a voice, you know a song, you just get up and sing. No, it's not like that. I am a stickler for quality. And so for me, it means practice, but not just practice. Proper, careful practice along the way. You know, Bob Marley, one of the guys that I really admire a lot, so I don't have to tell you that, right? When he was coming to the latter part, cancer, you know, when you read on some of the reviews, there was one particular day that he had them there. Now, this is a man with cancer. He is fully aware that he has a little time left. And my God, he had them there, drilling them, because he really believed that you aim for perfection. There was one session we had, and I'm not bashing anybody, because she has so grown since. But I remember one of the young ones, when she came into the first or second, by the third session, she said to me, boy, look like you're running this thing like it's a business you're running. Look like you're aiming after perfection. I tell her, yes, that is the aim. And that's the plan, the whole matter of quality. And then you have some of the young people who come, and because they're playing 1 or 2 years and they're on stage and everybody admire them, they don't want to practice. And they actually go and show off about performing and not practicing, and how the thing come off good. Well, I told them last night, when I go to review the video, then I see the mistakes, including my own, because I'm extremely hard on myself, right? And so those are some of the tips in preparing.
So you record yourself when you practice? Is that something you recommend for people?
Oh, yes. Last night we had a session. We had a drummer. My daughter was there, Shania, who is here supporting me, along with your previous guests. You know, they have to support me. But last night we were there, and we were going through some of these very things. And you know, the beautiful thing, I think I see an iPhone there, or is a me phone? And the beautiful thing with the phones now, it's a gadget to record. So last night, as we worked through the different parts, we recorded them, because I want, when they go home, it's not just when you come to practice session. When you go home, when you're in your shower, wherever you are, you're supposed to be practicing the parts, right? And you record it, and then you listen, and then you're able to look, which leads me to the other aspect that I wanted to bring out. It's the matter of critique, not just criticism, constructive criticism. No, you know, our society not so big on that, right? Family feel, okay, we're family, so I shouldn't point out to you, or you shouldn't point out to me. We get kind of, as we say in Belize, antsy. Now, there's a way to go about things, and I like to go about these things prayerfully and thoughtfully. But let me tell you something. There's a little song, you might want to Google it later. It deals with millennial children, kids. And it said they just think they know everything. And because they were used to getting a trophy for just participation, they can't handle. And in Belize, let me tell you, I've lived here 30 years. This is my country too. right? We prefer the corridor discussion where we talk bad about people, but we can't take the face-to-face.
I call them the meeting after the meeting.
Exactly.
That you are asked their opinion, don't express it,
No.
walk out, and then.
And I'll give you an example of that. The last show or the previous one, I remember when we were compensating them, and I sat and as they would come, I would compliment, because that's important, too, just as important for the different areas. And then I would point out 1 or 2 areas. And I remember another person sitting in the chair near me and say, man, oh, you do that? You're not afraid to tell them no? I said, no. If you care about people, you speak the truth in love, face to face, not behind them back. And it's the same thing. You have to be just very open with them at practice and share what really is.
Listen, I think that is an important practice across the board, even outside of singing, because it is the only way you will grow as a singer or in any other
person.
thing that you're
I don't know any other way.
Right? So I love that. Record yourself, be honest in how your performance is. Let's talk about some of the other things that people may neglect when it comes to singing. And I want to talk about something that I know you're very good at. You know, singing is if you have a great voice, if you've trained in, you've done all the warm-up, that's wonderful. But it's a performance.
Yes.
And there's a big difference between standing and singing and performing a song.
Yep.
What do you tell people about how to really work on that aspect?
That's one of my pet subjects,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Recently, and because we're also guiding the KTV people, will get little tips. My daughter and I were assisting a particular individual in preparation for this, and the individual just couldn't get it. I mean, and the judge is telling me this. Well, listen. It's good to listen. Listen to her. And I told her, I like your spunk. I really do. Because you can express yourself and say, well, how you feel. But let me tell you something. You see, the same thing that you were told there, I'm going to tell you the same thing. Yeah. Well, it's either all of us crazy or we know a little thing.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so these are some of the tips. And one of the areas we're looking at is the whole matter of performance. Now, Marlene, the last time I came here, the one we were doing a song to fathers.
Yeah, it was the Father's Day special.
Yes. But you didn't see me running all over the stage with that one. That's more a somber type thing.
Yeah.
You know, you're looking, it was a prayer. Father, giver of our life, help us, we are hurting. And encouraging them not to bash the fathers when they fail, but see how we can work with them. That's a different thing. Now, if you come, we're going to be singing at Soundfest. Tony Wright will be nice, love that as, you know, talking about Soundfest. And one of the songs we'll be doing there is more like a calypso soca type one. Yeah. No, and it's about exercise. It's combining love, music, and exercise. No, I'll be running all over the stage. Yeah. You express that. It's talking about exercise and when the person lift you up and put you down, and you understand?
I find that the less experienced singers, they go on stage and they're so shy.
Yeah.
And it's so hard to break them out. You know, when I have the kids come in for the summer program, one of the most important things, we practice a lot, but fundamentally it's just to get them comfortable singing outside, singing in front of people who aren't family.
Yes.
And it takes a long time.
You know, one of the things in our society, our community, wherever we are, and you are dealing with an important topic ahead of me, and I think Joan was expressing the fact that yes, it's taking a while to get down to the society. That's how it is with everything. Yeah. We have to keep jamming at it, and but you know what? Let me tell you something. My own daughter, one of them, Shania. The first show she did, Shania will tell you, and I tell you that's why it's important to review. Shania's hand was like this most of the show. And a good friend of ours, Lula Bennett, told her, hey, you have to move your hand.
Loosen up.
Loosen up. No, she hear it from me, but it's good to hear it outside. That's true. Now, when you see Shania now doing one of the songs, relax and recline, my prince, and she moving now. And I saw it with Samantha, I've seen it with the drummer, Josh. A little shy at first, and we have to work with them. Yeah. We have to exercise patience too. Yeah. And it's a balance between the patience, because sometimes you have to push to, you know. Yeah. You can't be no leader, no wimpy thing if all day long you're just pampering.
Yeah.
Sometimes you've got to be firm
Yep.
too, you know,
Yeah, I know that.
and push, right? But it comes with
Yeah.
you working with them, and you know.
Let me
they
move
learn.
into another criticism that we hear very often of singers.
Yeah.
Diction.
Yes. Oh yes, man.
And there are two things. Because one, I can recall from my childhood days with being in a choir, we did the vowel exercise.
Yes.
To kind of stretch out your mouth before you started singing, but it's also important for your diction. Can we talk about that?
Oh, very important.
Yeah.
You know, growing up, my father wasn't too into secular music,
Yeah.
right? But it was interesting the people that he chose. I told my children, Jim Reeves, guy who did, and now the end is near, forget his name right now.
Terrible with naming artists. Yeah.
I don't know how to forget his name. And but these are the kinds of Nat King Cole.
Okay.
And when you listen, you can hear every word. But it's not like they're making that concerted effort.
It's not exaggerated.
Exactly,
Yeah.
right? Now, I want to compare that though, because there is a kind of entertainment. You remember you mentioned music is singing, and yes, you have the professional side, but there's also the entertainment.
Yeah.
Because the young people like, my youth stop lamp up like you have no ambition. I got a load the test trial and the tribulation. Left the abracadabra. If you want to mature, you have to endure. Grab a plan, you must understand if you are taking a man. Did you hear what I said?
Some of it.
But I
slower parts.
Hey, Marlene, you're giving away your age now. I bet you I go out there, any young people, any one of them,
They can understand.
they heard.
Yeah.
So it depends, again, on the audience, what you're trying to bring across. This
Yeah.
weekend, we had one of the great singers. Papa San was in. And I'm telling you, and I have to commend the organizers of that. Because they had different types of, they had ones with the more the pronunciation and so on. And then Papa San came on with rapping, but he has a message there.
Yeah.
Right? But it's important, you practice, and that's why we do exercise. And you don't look so pretty when you're doing these things.
No.
Yeah. Look at this, Marlene.
You
look
do
at
the jaw, loosen your jaw.
This is good for TV, Marlene.
Listen, when people see me doing that, they laugh at me, but because it's a muscle.
Yes, it
and
does.
it's like anything else. If you don't stretch out before you use your muscle, it doesn't cooperate.
But it helps, And that's why I also mentioned the mental.
Yeah.
Right? Because, for instance, one of my favorite poets is Maya Angelou. Right? And when you read this stuff and you go through it and you assimilate these things and you practice reading it and interpreting, because that's another important thing in singing, these things help you. And that's why I say, Marlene, it has to be a holistic approach. You know?
It's also taking it serious.
Yeah.
And I think for me that's part of what I'm hearing from you. It's not just necessarily wanting to sing, but it's wanting to do it right, and it's wanting to put in the required effort and time and dedication to be able to have a great product in the end.
You know, Marlene, one of the things, and your parents are always a point of reference.
Yeah.
Isn't it funny as we get older, especially? I remember learning to wash dishes. Right? And they would tell us you sort out first, you have to scrape out, you have to know where to put the glass.
See, people think I'm funny because I do have to sort my dishes before I do them.
Yes, of course. And there's an organization there, and you have to do it properly. And if your mother come and check the thing, and so you're going to do the thing over again.
Yeah.
And these things, amazing, simple though they may seem, carry over into the other area of life. And it's the same thing with music. You've got to sit down, plan out properly. You've got to be willing to put in the time. I don't care what it is. And I encourage my children that way, and those who are mentoring. My daughter, one of them was helping volunteering for the past 3 weeks at an organization here with music. Not getting paid for it, but she knows you have to get up and you have to give it your all as if you were being paid.
Yeah.
And that's part of the whole thing.
Yeah.
Right?
All right. Final message before we close off this segment. What would be your advice to singers?
My advice is the holistic approach. That's what I'm big on. You have to take care of the physical. You need to exercise. Nutrition, you need to eat right. Right? Physical, you need to be doing your scales or training and grooming your voice. There's the mental. you have to develop outside. I listen to a wide, you'd be amazed to know I listen to opera, I listen to reggae, I listen to chronics. Yes, I listen to chronics. You have to expose yourself, mental, emotional, and the spiritual is very important to me at least. And I find that it guides you and it propels you along. So I encourage, just like the guy again, that you don't just see the little sawdust, but you see the big picture.
All right. Sandy, thank you so much for stopping in and sharing these tips. Of course, as you mentioned, you have a show coming up in October, so we'll get the details
October
of that
14th,
as well.
Of course.
But we appreciate you sharing what you have learned over your time being such an accomplished singer.
Still learning.
Thank you. Still learning. I like that. I like that. We're going to go ahead now and take our final break, and when we come back, we'll have our wrap-up.